Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge.
So let's start by sitting upright, the head suspended from above. Body relaxed, at ease. Take a few comfortable, nice breaths. Allow your breath to naturally sink down, settling in the belly. Allow it to naturally slow down. And all that, making sure that your breathing feels nice. Receive yourself with kindness, with compassion, with acceptance and empathy. This simply means to leave things alone. We're not here to change ourselves, we're not here to manipulate or control ourselves. We're not here to fix ourselves. The entire spirit is one of getting to know, approaching, relaxing into yourself. To understand that all parts of yourself, whatever it is that you're experiencing right now in this moment, it belongs. It's okay. There's nothing to get rid of, nothing to add on. And gradually saturate your body with consciousness, feeling this aliveness that your body is. Breathing in, sensing that. Breathing out, softening a little. Release all the unnecessary tension. Just a little. As your consciousness is gradually merging with your body, while you're breathing in, there is a sense of appreciating this field of aliveness that there is. Not calling it body, not calling it arm or leg. What is actually experienced is beyond that. What you experience beyond ideas or words is what we're working with here. Breathing in, feeling, breathing out, softening. Softening your eyes, your forehead. Softening your heart, your chest. Softening your belly. As if the entire body is made out of breath. Now open your heart to all experience, no matter what they are. Just allowing them to be. Treating every single experience as holy, sacred, divine. Necessary, useful. There is not one thought, not one sensation, not one sound, smell, taste, not one color that is out of place, that doesn't belong. not grasping anything, not running behind experiences, following them, and not fighting with them, giving everything space. Let go of all trying, all doing, all striving. As these two are just empty experiences of the mind, arising, changing and passing on their own accord. There's absolutely nothing to do. Simply rest in your own presence. And of course you will notice the tendency to grab and do and try and focus. The noticing that is enough. Rest right there. Once you become aware, you wake up, nothing further is to be done. If you notice that there is trying, striving, grasping, look right at the one that is trying. Look at the one that's grasping. Look at the doer directly without concept or thought. Can you see that being aware, being conscious, is without any effort? That experiences arise and pass without any effort. It doesn't matter whether you want to have experiences or not. Sound, sight, thought, sensations simply arise and pass following their nature, not your will. If you were to try to not hear anything, you couldn't. Similarly to thinking. Trying to hold any experience in place doesn't work either, because there is nothing really to hold. All this you can see if you look directly at your experience. Just resting in your natural state, nothing to contrive, nothing to make, nothing to get rid of, nothing to do. Just effortless, natural experiences and experiencing. And in your own time, you can slowly come back, or you can simply remain, resting in your nature. Good morning. So this is second session in a row discussing basically how to deal with intense hardship, difficulties that will arise within our life at some point. And especially this is for one of our friends, for Benjamin, who is exactly going through a period of very, very intense hardship, difficulties, illness, possible death, possible loss. And of course, together with that, there's a whole lot of upheaval, difficulties, fear, panic, worries, anxiety, grief, depression, all these things. And it is no surprise, really. Very often, even for people who are rather well trained on the path and have rather calm, composed mindset, or relatively good ideas about themselves and the world, and who've got their lives together to some degree, when illness and possibly death strike, it's a whole different ball game that we find ourselves in that moment. It's much, much more difficult to actually relax and be at peace. Hence, I'm well aware that my talking is perhaps perceived as just lofty words, and we shall see when I'm in that situation, and when I'm suffering, and when my body is burning in pain and so on, like how will I deal with it, right? That remains to be seen. What we can do when we are not in that situation yet, let's call it the winter, a winter phase, or the actual winter of life. What we can do during summer and spring and autumn is prepare. So one of the main tasks for anyone who is listening to this, that is perhaps young, fit, healthy, feeling quite good, life going well, everything's okay, it will not remain that way. And so it's important to prepare. And your meditation practice, your spiritual practice is precisely supposed to do that. It's supposed to give you a refuge that actually works when true hardship is hitting, when things get really bad. It still works. It's still a refuge. And so I do think it's important to test yourself. It's very easy to adopt beautiful ideas. There's in fact quite a lot of meditators who do exactly that, adopting beautiful ideas, inspiring stuff. Like, wow, mind-blowing, that's amazing, so deep, so profound. And while that's a nice entertainment for the mind, it very often remains to be shown whether this has actually been efficient or effective. Later on, when difficulties hit, you may be feeling like absolutely mind-blown and everything's amazing after your ayahuasca experience or something like that. But the proof is in the pudding. Have you actually embodied the insights that you have had? And I'm not diminishing such experiences. They can be quite eye-opening, providing you with understanding. They can be completely the opposite. Hence, I'm not advising anyone to do that, because you're basically at the whim of your subconscious mind and the circumstances around you and a substance. Anything could happen. Yes. So it might be great, it might not be. There is plenty of cases backing up both. Some people are over the moon, that was amazing, and so on. Yet, very quickly, such experiences become a nice little memory for a lot of people. Then we identify with that memory and we feel very spiritual about ourselves. Wow, I had this amazing enlightenment experience where, the whole body dissolved into emptiness and all time and space just went away and I was in the sea of light and I felt at home profoundly and it was amazing and tears were flowing and my hair was standing up on end. It was amazing. All right, that's awesome. You perhaps had a glimpse of something, but is it embodied or not? Our training is supposed to bring those lofty spiritual realm things down into our cells, into our nervous system, into our blood, into our flesh. Spirit has to descend into the flesh. It has to become embodied. Not only through your actions, through your ideas, but literally in the body. Your flesh has to change. Your nervous system has to change. All of that has to happen. This is what spiritual practice is supposed to do. It's supposed to liberate you on the level of mind, on the level of body, on the level of energy, and on the levels beyond those more tangible things. So it's our duty, I think, to be sincere with ourselves, to be honest with ourselves, and to put ourselves to the test. For example, figure out what is your fear. What are you afraid of? How would you react if you were in a situation that is very much against what you would prefer? Maybe you like silence, peace, nice company, good people around you, meditators, spiritual groups, and so on. How are you in a city, in a large city? How are you when everyone hates meditation around you? And you're the only one that kind of likes it. And no one understands you. No one can relate with you. Everyone's just laughing about you. How's that going for you? How are you when your mind doesn't do what you want it to do all of a sudden? Wake up one morning and some nerve damage in your brain happened and suddenly you just can't remember things anymore. Or your eyesight is suddenly diminishing rapidly. Day after day, you're just slowly losing your eyesight or your ability to feel or something like that. Your life will already test you. There'll be plenty of tests at your level every day. This is the cool thing about life. It puts you to the test. The principle of evolution is active all the time. It wants you to grow, it wants you to flourish, it wants you to thrive. And in order to do that, it provides you with suffering. It tickles you so you can move up. That's what suffering is supposed to do. It's a call of evolution lifting you up. It's like, how does it work out? You're banging your head against the wall for the last 6 months. Does it work out or not? Does it hurt? It hurts. Is that perhaps a sign you might want to change something? Perhaps you should be doing something else. So that's fairly obvious, but there's different types of suffering which is more deep, which might feel perfectly correct for you. So that's why we need teachers, we need community around ourselves, we need to have some sort of test for ourselves, and we need to have a doubt, I think. It's good to have doubt about our experiences. Is this it? Is this it? Every great saint of the past has put themselves to the test. But I'm feeling very elevated, I'm feeling very enlightened after this meditation, but is this it? Perhaps I should move out of my cave and move into the city and start a job. The thing that I really ran away from when I went into my cave. So that's the job to do before you're hit with disease, illness, and pain, and so on. If you've had adequate preparation, it's very good. But what if you're hit without preparation? What do you do then? If you haven't really had a spiritual practice your entire life long, if you haven't had any true connection with the divine for your entire life long, if it all was just culture or imagination or philosophy, well then, in that case, there is a way to, it's not hopeless. By far not. But you have to then learn fast. And suffering that you're in will kind of force you to learn fast while you're going through this hard period of your life. So you then have to maybe learn really fast to let go of what your mind is attached to. You have to make peace really fast. Because otherwise, it's just unbearable. You have to learn to stop focusing on pain. And you need to learn to stop, to start focusing on the little good moments every now and then that you have. Maybe that's what you need to learn. Maybe you need to learn patience, endurance. Maybe you need to learn to rely on awareness instead of what you are aware of. Depends. We all have to figure this out. What is my lesson in this hardship? You are given that hardship for a reason. And the reason is not to make you suffer, to make your loved ones suffer. That's not the reason. Unless you think it is. But then that's onto you. You've just made that up. You say, well, I decide to believe that there is no meaning in my hardship. You might say things like, well, if there was a good God, a loving God, why do children die? Why is there war, poverty, hunger, starvation? Why does that exist if God is loving? Perhaps it exists exactly because God is loving. What could be more of a provocation to seek out truth and relief, true relief, than hardship? So if you're given hardship, it's almost like you're given a special place. Someone has a lot of faith in you that you can go through this situation and actually grow through it. Here's this is the possibility. Like as always, I've said that many times, you're always going to be tempted by the devil and you're going to be called by God. Both are calling you. Hell is calling and heaven is calling. And both are sending messengers to call you. And those messengers, they are already infiltrated into your mind. They're the voices in your head that say, for example, just give up. You can't do this. It's too much. I cannot handle this pain. Screw this. If there is a loving God, why am I in such pain? Well, perhaps you are in that pain because through you, God can show others who are in that pain that it can be done. That could also be a calling. Choosing which voices you listen to in your head is very crucial. But today I'm going to talk about something different. Especially the power of love and compassion. That when we are going through really difficult times, I find that the fastest and most soothing thing is to know yourself to be at home in love, in compassion. In fact, people who suffer, they keep calling out for help. They keep calling out, not just for financial help or whatever, they keep calling out mostly for compassion. It is compassion, after all, that makes you give and help and support that person. Because you can relate. What if I was in that situation, right? What if I was that guy? What if I was Benjamin? What would I want? Well, most certainly I wouldn't want to be abandoned. I wouldn't want to be left alone. And I would be terrified that due to the hardship that people have, by taking care of me day and night, they will abandon me. That would be one concern. So if you just knew that you had a home in love, love itself, in compassion, you could completely relax, completely surrender to that. You know that no matter how bad it gets, you are carried, supported, nourished through this. And all you need to do is surrender to love. Easier said than done. But that's what I would suggest somebody that doesn't have much experience on the path to begin cultivating. And in order to cultivate this loving kindness towards yourself, you need to understand what it is. What is loving kindness? What is it practically? How do I do it? I can tell you, all right, be loving and kind towards yourself. And then you will do something in your mind, something, whatever you have learned or read or heard before about it, and what you made out of it in your own mind, and then you're trying to kind of create that loving kindness salad in your head, cooking up something. This is the problem. Like when I say loving kindness, you all hear something different. Everyone who's listening to this, we're perceiving different things. That's why I'm a big fan of clarifying and defining terms, so we're all on the same wavelength. So loving kindness essentially is acceptance. In its nature, it is acceptance. Accepting what is. What is the truth. Not accepting it is conflict with truth, aka suffering, stress. Accepting the truth. For example, accepting the truth that there is pain, old age, illness, death, loss, grief, sorrow, fear. All these things exist. But there is something in you that says, no, but it should not exist. I should be brave. I should be healthy. I should be fine. I should be walking. Should you? But you're not. You're not fine. You're not healthy. You're not walking. That is the fact. As long as your mind doesn't accept that, you're living in conflict with what is. And that conflict costs you dearly. It costs you energy. It costs you life force, which could be available for perhaps healing, to support the healing. But it has to go into your worrying. It has to go into your hoping. It has to go into all the tension that lives on top of the problems that you already have. So acceptance, loving kindness, means in nature to accept the way it is. To accept truth. To put truth above all else. To surrender, to give up fantasies, hopes, fear, to give up everything that is not. What's going to happen to me tomorrow? I cannot work with that. It's absolutely impractical. What's going to happen to me tomorrow? That thought doesn't serve me at all because I don't know. Why would I waste energy focusing on things that cannot be known? Why would I focus my energy on things that cannot be done? Instead, consolidate your energy, rest. Stop fighting on top of the illness that's already there. Surrender your fighting. Accept. And here is the thing. Accepting pain, for example. Say your legs are really hurting or your head is really hurting. And it's really bad. The room's spinning or something like that. I'm using examples that Benjamin has given me. Like brutal stuff. How can I accept that? Like my mind basically says, there is pain. Yes, all right, there's pain. And then in my mind, I have this idea that if I were to accept it, it means I have to like it. No. Fortunately, you don't have to like pain. That'd be horrible. You have to love your pain, meaning for most people, you have to like your pain. No, you don't. You can hate it. You can absolutely hate it. And that's okay. There is hate. There is dislike. There is pain. There is not wanting that pain. All that exists, doesn't it? Accepting it means simply knowing that these things exist and they're all okay to exist. When you accept, you naturally disband. You let go of holding very tightly. You are not the one that doesn't like anymore. You see that there is dislike and it has a place. It's okay to be there. That, for example, Carl Jung has talked a lot about integration and integration. What's the word they used? I'm sure some of you will remember what the word is. Acceptance? No, not acceptance, but it's basically like integrating. I don't remember. Integrating both parts of your psyche, which is the dark and the light, both. Right? He famously said that. What's the quote? I'd rather be whole than good.
Symbiosis.
Not symbiosis. It's not symbiosis either. It doesn't matter. The point is that you have two parts to yourself, to your psyche. One is, let's call it dark, in the sense of not visible, not illuminated by consciousness, and the other one is illuminated by consciousness. One part arises because you cut off things from yourself that are undesirable, that you deem undesirable. I shouldn't be like that. So you ban it into the shadow, meaning you do not want those parts. They're deemed unacceptable, not only by yourself, but by society at large. That's the challenge. It's not only you that has a conflict with 50% of yourself. It's everyone having that conflict. So we're all like running around pretending we're totally fine when we're not just fine. We're more than fine. We're also not fine. That not fine part, however, in our society doesn't have a place. Sickness, illness, death, corpses, and all that kind of stuff just kind of doesn't belong, does it? We don't want to see it. It's kind of brushed away. We don't want to pay attention to it. We don't want to associate much with it. We don't want to actually become vulnerable enough to feel into it, asking this dreadful question, what if that's me? What would I do? What if I would lose everything I love? everything I depend on, and so on. Anyways, okay, acceptance is the nature of love. When love springs into action, when it becomes active, then it is goodwill. Basically wishing for happiness. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be at ease. May you find peace. And we're talking about the peace that transcends good and bad. Not the peace that belongs to good. But that too, we wish that too. Without it, there is no practice. The Tibetans have this greeting, which is quite nice actually. You wish someone 3 types of happiness. They say it in Tibetan, it's Tashi Delek. Tashi is the first type of happiness, Dewa is the second one, and Lekba is the third one. Tashi is just basic standard happiness, good health, success, money, food, whatever, all these things that need to be there for someone to prosper, to do well. Second one is Dewa, which is the happiness arising from meditation, which by far supersedes, transcends ordinary happiness. This is a happiness that is only available to those who train. It's not available to you just living a standard life. So if you train for happiness, you can get Dewa. And then there's the third one, which is transcendent happiness. Happiness of nirvana, the end of suffering. Lekba, liberation, enlightenment. Fancy words. So yeah, anyways, that is what we wish, is what love wishes. Love wishes to see people being well. It wishes to see you well. I actually do not recommend to love yourself as a practice. I rather recommend you to sit in love. To me, that worked out better than trying to love myself. Because this whole practicing, trying to love myself, kind of goes against this acceptance thing. It's too much me doing too much me. It doesn't really work out. I'm the big lover that loves myself. It's a kind of a bit of a weird idea as well. It's like, what is it that loves what? I don't know. No idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. I wonder how it makes sense to people. Sitting down going, I love myself. It's funny. Sometimes we say things and we're absolutely certain we think we know what it means, but really if we look a little bit deeper, just a tiny bit, turns out we have no idea at all what this means. I love myself. Or I hate myself. What? Are there 2 of you? Are there more of you even, maybe, perhaps? Is there a whole group of you up there? That's not very sane, you know. So you need something that is greater than yourself, because only that would be capable of loving you, because the self doesn't like the self. And it would use self-love, some twisted way maybe, to reaffirm that I don't actually like myself. And I'm just proving this to myself by trying to love myself, then figuring out it doesn't actually work after a while. While it's okay to sit down and do your practice like, okay, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be well, repeating those affirmations. That is okay. And to some people it somehow does work a little bit on the level of the psyche. I would actually recommend to stop trying to do that and feel that you're already in it. Hence, I kind of like the idea that is practiced more in the monotheistic, like the mystical traditions and Gnostic traditions, where you surrender, where you learn to love God with all your heart, for example, where you learn to sit in divine love. You tune into that as if it was already there, because it is. It underlies everything. It's the very intelligence that underlies everything. It's the force that makes everything prosper in the absence of the neurotic, deluded human mind. There's perfect harmony in everything. But if you put in a deluded, neurotic human mind with the imagination of a self that must be in charge of this and that, as an owner, as a doer, you get a whole lot of trouble. You end up with a whole lot of trouble. I mean, look at the world. There's plenty of evidence of trouble that is absolutely unnecessary. Wouldn't be necessary. But perhaps on our level, it is necessary to trigger evolution. Maybe it is necessary that we bomb ourselves into oblivion so that we wake up. Maybe it takes that. Maybe that's how love must manifest on our realm, because we don't get it any other way. Love is very skillful. So love, this acceptance of everything as it is, including yourself and all that is within this universe of your experience. Opening up to it with goodwill. In a way, it's like you're sitting there, you're being appreciated. You're sitting in appreciation, you're sitting in love. We all kind of know what that feels like. We can imagine. What would it feel like to be loved to a point where you could not be rejected, ever? Where you're completely at home. Try to tap into that. It's already there. This is a higher form of prayer, actually. Sitting in love. Feeling that you are loved. And that everything is nothing but an expression of that. It's really hard to swallow to the intellect. The intellect doesn't understand that, doesn't grasp it. So you need to kind of tap into it through your feeling. The second is compassion. Compassion in its nature is empathy. It's the great bridge maker. It's what creates a bridge between my suffering and someone else's suffering. I can relate, I can understand. On the most basic level, that's what compassion does. You see a dog that's been hit by the car on the road, and you see him like walking, maybe with a broken mouth or something, like snout, I think you say, broken snout, blood dripping. What do you feel? Right? You feel compassion instantly. You feel, that could be me, kind of. You see yourself in that dog in that moment. That is compassion. You see yourself in it. It's unbearable to see suffering. You want to spring into action. But it's funny that we do not have that very much with ourselves. Like if I am in suffering, usually I don't go like, oh, I understand that I suffer and I can relate to it. It's more critical, like I shouldn't suffer. Imagine you would be dealing with a dog like that. Dog is walking with a broken snout. And your thought is, how stupid that he walked in front of that car. And now he's suffering. But it's due to his own stupidity, isn't it? Like, you'd have to be a psychopath to feel that way. You have zero empathy. That's what marks a psychopath. There's no empathy. They cannot comprehend someone else's feeling. It's just 100% about them and their goals and so on. It's not about other people at all. They are just pawns on their chessboard. That's a typical psychopathic behavior. Like everyone around is just a pawn on my chessboard of life. I'll just play society. I just get what I want, what I deserve. Who cares about what people feel? I only care about facts. That can be a dangerous path. Can be good. Can be quite dangerous. It can be good in the sense that you're immune to what people think of you or feel about you. You're fine with that because it's not about me. So you say, I don't care what people think or feel about me. They're free to feel and think whatever they want. In that way, that's good. In a way that you have no interest in their well-being at all, not so good. That goes down a whole different level. I don't care whether people suffer or not. It's quite cruel. The opposite of compassion is, hence, cruelty. It's perhaps even the desire to see people suffer. That's the opposite. Compassion doesn't want to see suffering because it knows this is me, basically. In the deepest sense, in the most profound sense, it is you. In a more like mediocre sense, maybe, it could be you. That's how compassion creates a bridge. And that bridge is so vital. When you see yourself suffer, what's the only appropriate response to your suffering? Isn't it compassion? Isn't it? Like most people would say, if I see myself as a little child that is disturbed, traumatized, that's standing there crying after a horrible experience that you've had while you were smaller. You see that child standing there, how do you want to act? What do you want to do? Most people would say, I want to go and give him a hug. Right? That's spontaneous what we feel. This is the beauty of a human being. This is compassion. We can sense that. If you can feel that for yourself, if you're going through hardship, you can feel this very gentle sense of care, of compassion. Out of that, you would receive yourself in your pain. You would not reject your pain. This is only capable of handling pain and hardship and misery. The only things really capable of doing that is love, compassion, and wisdom. Those three. Equanimity is really good as well. There's a couple of things that can handle these. But I think the top three most are love, compassion, and wisdom. So yeah, that's today's exploration into love and compassion. It's good if you have religion, say you're a Christian or you're a Jew or something like that, surrender to God, but do it properly. Don't do it with all the misunderstanding that most people have of God being a bearded guy up in heaven, separated from myself. Think more in terms of God being everything, pervading everything. There is nothing that is not God. There is no self, me, and God. All is God, including yourself, including pain, including pleasure. Beautiful simile that's given in Tibetan Buddhism is, for example, that the mind is like the sun, and all phenomena, all experiences are like sun rays. In the same way, you can say that the core, that which is behind the words I am, the experience behind the words I am, which is coincidentally the name of God, Yahweh, I am. The experience that lies behind that is the sun and all things radiating from it. All experiences of the senses are like sun rays. I think people got it completely wrong in personifying God or deities or something like that as like a separate being from themselves and then building up elaborate teachings around that idea. I think it's not very helpful. It doesn't make people more peaceful and happy and compassionate and kind, quite obviously. Same with the problem with a lot of people going into the temples, but hardly anyone actually wants to see the Buddha. People ask for lottery numbers, they ask for better relationships, the fancy new car, they ask for their problems to come to an end, but hardly anyone goes to actually see the Buddha, because to see the Buddha, you'd have to look at the looker. There's nowhere else where you can find the Buddha. The same goes for God. As the quote of St. Francis of Assisi that we have out there. It's attributed to him, it's not sure if it actually came from him. What you are looking for is where you are looking from. It's a beautiful little quote. It points to God. If you seek God, look where you are looking from. That's where He is. All right? That's where the love that you're looking for is. It emanates from that place. Easier said than done, I know. Aim to bring little moments of love, tenderness, appreciation, gentleness, understanding into your hardship, and it will make things better. Sometimes a little bit, sometimes a lot. And that's already good. That's already a good thing, isn't it? All right, so that's all that comes to mind for today concerning love and kindness, compassion in the face of hardship. By the way, if you would like to give support to Benjamin, I'm going to post the link below the YouTube video. I'm going to post it again on Facebook today. Please reach out, give him some help. He really needs it at the moment, so that would be very, very kind. I've just talked with him on Sunday. I phoned him up and I talked with him, and he's just in a really difficult, really, really challenging situation. And yeah, he's looking to get a surgery and is trying to accumulate the funds for that, but it's not sure whether it will work out or not. So he's in a bit of a limbo state right now. Would be nice if you can reach out, give him a couple of words of encouragement, and perhaps donate some money to him if you can. That'd be good. Yeah, if you want to contribute and help him a little bit, do it. I think he's really, really happy for anything he can get at the moment. All right, thank you very much, guys. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day.